Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. So, if you are a fan of Roots and Refuge like I am, you probably have seen Jess's new video where she is asking content creators to please make other videos about their favorite homesteading resources, and this video does just that. So I'm going to go through my favorite resources for each topic that takes part here on our homestead, what I recommend to you. These are tried and true books, and you will see my #1 top homesteading resource that I literally could not live without. It is my homesteading Bible. It is the most well-used book in my library. Of course, I'm sharing that with you. I will try to find links to all of these books, and when I do, they will be in the description box below so you can go get your own copies of these. Here we go. We are going to start and do them by section of our homestead, and we have chickens, goats, rabbits, a garden, plus general homesteading knowledge. So I have books in each of those sections. So if you've watched my channel, you know my #1 homesteading animal is meat rabbits. I love our rabbits. They grow fast, they grow large, they produce a lot of meat. I can do them on a small scale or a large scale depending on what we need. They really fill our freezers. Pressure canned rabbit is delicious. We love it around here. The thing with meat rabbits and resources is there's not that many great resources out there on caring for rabbits. You have a few well-known books. So first is going to be Story's Guide to Raising Rabbits. Now, I do have this book. It is probably the first meat rabbit book I have ever purchased. However, I found that this book focuses on a commercial scale and it is very biased in its views. It sees rabbitry as a one-way street. There's no room for veering off or trying new things or going holistic in your methods. It is very much focused on a commercial rabbitry setting. You know, the sterile, all metal, easy to clean, concrete, metal cages. Rabbits are in kind of small cages. They're all hung about. You know, they're all fed the exact same thing. They're watered the exact same thing. And everything is absolutely the same, which is fine if that's the style of rabbitry you want. However, we are a backyard rabbitry. We like variety. We like focusing on what that animal is meant to do, what it was created to do, its natural instincts, its natural eating habits, that sort of thing. So, you know, that Story's Guide did not jive with me personally. And that's okay, it may not jive with you, but if you are looking for a commercial rabbitry, that book may work well for you. When it comes to feeding meat rabbits, Beyond the Pellet is one of the most well-known feeding meat rabbits books if you're looking to get off of pellets. And it's a great beginner's guide. It doesn't give you very hard and fast, this is what you can feed, this is why you can feed it, this is why you can't feed it type deals. It basically is, this is what I've been feeding for 20 plus years, this is what this person's been feeding for 20 plus years, so this is what we recommend you do. But that's kind of that guide. So if you're wanting kind of a loosey-goosey, this is what we do because this is what we do, then Beyond the Pellet would work for you. I'm not that kind of person. So I have, of course, written my own rabbitry books. These are the only books written by me that will be shared in this video, so I want to go ahead and get them out of the way. I am, of course, biased because I wrote them, but I wrote them because I could not find the books on the market that done what I needed for my rabbitry goals. So this is what I got for you. Feeding Meat Rabbits for Free. This book I wrote because I wanted the hard and fast, this is what you can feed, this is why you can feed it, this is what you can't feed, this is why you can't feed it. I wanted people to understand why something can be or it can't be fed. So when they look at the plants in their area, they can say, okay, this plant has this component in it and I can't feed this. But this plant, it don't have any of these bad stuff in it. It's actually got great things in it. So we're going to try to feed that even though it's not in the book. So my goal with this book was not to be an all-inclusive knowledge of what you can feed rabbits and what you can't. It has over 125 things in it that you can feed rabbits. Plus, I don't even know how many things in it that you can't. So it does have that. It does cover that. But it's also here to teach you why you can and why you can't feed things. So at the back has different medical conditions you can treat with different natural feed products. Now this book isn't to say rabbit pellets are bad. This is to help you make raising meat rabbits a more budget-friendly option, or to give you more control over your feed system, which is why we do it, because we don't want to depend on a feed store for our rabbit food. The next book I have for you is Home Cooked Rabbit. This book I teamed up with a bunch of other rabbitries and we created, and it's a rabbit cookbook. So it's got 30 rabbit recipes in here that we love, that we make for our families. These are tried and true recipes, not just like created off the top of our head. This is stuff we actually cook. So several rabbitries and I got together and we made this book for y'all. So you would have 30 rabbit recipes that families actually love and ask for time and time again. The last book I got for you, and this is my new book just released, and that is The Homesteader's Guide to Raising Rabbits from Birth to Butcher. I am so thrilled about this book. So remember I said Stories Guide focused on commercial rabbitry? This book focuses on the backyard rabbitry. We go over cage living, tractor livings for rabbit tractors, colony living, combination, so where you do multiple things, house rabbits, pet rabbits, all of that is in here. It's got the basics on rabbit care, healing rabbits naturally, holistically, different health conditions rabbits may have, breeding rabbits, genetics, understanding your rabbit genetics so you know when you breed this and this, you get this. All of that's in here. And it's everything I know about raising rabbits in one book. So I, of course, highly recommend this. Remember, I'm a little biased. It is my book. I wrote this. And I designed this beautiful cover. But I just wanted to get these books out here because these are obviously what I recommend for raising rabbits. That is Home Cooked Rabbit, my cookbook. Feeding Meat Rabbits for Free, helps you feed your rabbits. And then the Homesteader's Guide to Raising Rabbits from Birth to Butcher. I wrote them to fill a need on the market, but if you're looking to get into raising rabbits for meat or not, these books may help you. So moving on, chickens. This book is a necessity if you're raising chickens for meat. I seriously believe it is. So this book, Butchering Chickens, if you'll notice it says, A Humane Guide to Small Scale Processing. So this book goes over all the different ways you can process chickens in your backyard. And if you're raising meat chickens, you kind of need to know that. It's got machines in it like feather pluckers and stuff like that. But it also has the ways you can do it by hand. So if you don't have the machines, if you're on a budget, you can't afford the machines, or you don't want to rely on machines, it's got you covered also. It goes down how to break down the chicken, what each part of it is. I love the anatomy lessons in here so you understand when you're opening a chicken up what each organ does, what you should expect it to do, what it should look like, things like that. So if you're butchering chickens for meat, this book right here I highly recommend. That is the Butchering Chickens, A Guide to Humane Small-Scale Processing by Adam Danforth. The next book I have that I recommend goes towards our goats. So we have mini Alpine, a Nubian, and then a mini Oberhasli goats. Those are dairy goats. We also are raising for meat and stuff. And this book right here, The Joy of Keeping Goats by Laura Childs. This is the second edition to this book. This is my go-to with goat things. So I'm always pulling this thing out, checking my index, looking at my stuff to see what I need to know. I read through this when I got our goats. It has things about milk, different breeds, just basic general care for goats, what to expect, how to feed them, that sort of thing. I really enjoyed this because it made learning about goats fun. It's not like a boring book. It's got lots of pictures. It's got lots of tables. It keeps it interesting. But that's not to say that it doesn't have good information in here. So it has like variety in their diets, understanding their diet, understanding their digestive system, rumen health, bloat, how to take care of things like that. I really love this. So this is my go-to goat book. Anytime I have a goat issue, I always pull out this book. Now, garden-wise, what we're looking at there. I've got two books I'm recommending garden-wise, and they are very different from each other. So, Rosemary Gladstar's Medicinal Herbs, A Beginner's Guide. If you're growing herbs, I recommend this beyond anything else. This is my go-to herb book. It not only tells you in here what the herb can be used for, but how to use it. And that is the most important thing for me, like real life scenarios of how you're going to use this. Yes, you can make a ton of tinctures in the world, but what are you going to do with them when you have them? So this book right here it goes through and it's got pictures. It's got what parts you use of the plant, what in it, what chemicals in it actually makes it valuable, and then any safety issues that may be related to that herb or that plant. And then it's got different recipes in here, like how to make a salve and how to make teas, tinctures, using herbs for things like eye infections. And each herb in here usually has more than one preparation. So some you can use as a poultice, some you can use as a salve, some you can use as a tea. And a lot of them have those different things in there and what each one should be used for. So it really opens up the variety of what you can do with each thing. This is absolutely my go-to thing. It's got beautiful pictures. It has a ton of information in here, a ton of recipes. But my favorite thing about this book is this is full of everyday herbs. Herbs you're going to have growing in your garden. This isn't just some like rare herbs that you may never see or may never use or you only have to grow for one thing. No, this has got things like rosemary and thyme and goldenrod, things that are actually growing around you, things that you are growing for culinary uses, flowers that you may grow in your garden, things like that. Like this is real life stuff that you're actually going to use. So this is my go-to herb book. I rely on this thing so much. That's Rosemary Gladstar's Medicinal Herbs, A Beginner's Guide. The next book I have that I recommend is kind of an older book, which sometimes are the best. I actually found this in a secondhand used bookstore. I find a lot of my books in used bookstores. I love to go to thrift shops. That's my birthday tradition that I started a few years ago. On my birthday, I get to go to the thrift stores, as many as I want. We go to a bigger city to do it, of course, so that we have multiple, and I go book shopping. And there are some thrift stores that are like, you can fill an entire bag for $5, literally done it, and then you get a massive bag, which they gave me, the biggest bag they had. And she's like, as much books as you can fit in here, you get it for $5. Yes, hit those up. Find the recipe books, find the herbalist books, find the garden books, because if you don't like it in the end, you're out a few pennies. Return it to the thrift store. Let somebody else buy it. It may jive with them. So that's the way I really like to do a lot of my book shopping. It saves me money. It's frugal. It reuses books. And I get some of the older stuff that isn't just AI produced like a lot of the newer stuff is. So this one, secondhand shop. I'm going to try to see if I can find it on Amazon for y'all so that you can order it, because I do recommend it. And that is Keeping the Harvest. This book is by Nancy, and I'm going to mispronounce this name, Chiaffi and Gretchen Mead. But this book goes over all of your garden produce and what do you actually do with it after you grow it. So it's got different ways to freeze it, to can it, to store it, recipes to make with it, how to ferment it, things like that, so that your garden harvest doesn't actually go to waste. Okra, because okra can be a hard one for people to figure out how to use. A lot of people just want to use it fresh. So for okra, it has harvesting, what size you should pick it when harvesting, how to prepare it, so how to wash it, cut off the stem, what to use it for, pressure canning okra, how you can go about doing that, and then freezing okra, what steps you need to make to freeze okra and to get it to come out good, because you don't want mushy okra. And then it has little tips and tidbits off to the side. And this one for okra says, in addition to being stored for later use, usually in gumbos, okra can be boiled and served with hollandaise sauce. It's a pleasing dish, nutritious, and just slightly slippery. So that's a direct quote out of the book. So like I said, it tells you, you know, it had already went over soups and stews and stuff you could use okra in, so that's why that was a fun little tip. But it's another additional way that you could use okra that you may not have thought about. But okra is just one of the ones that are kind of hard to deal with, because everybody thinks eat it fresh, and occasionally you'll see people freeze it, but nobody else knows what to do with it after that. But a lot of these have like harvesting, preparing, pressure canning, freezing, drying, pickling, and curing with brine for different vegetables. It's got old school methods, like for green beans, it'll tell you how to make leather breeches, which is a non-electrical way to dry your green beans and store them for future use, things like that. So yes, old school book. It was written, I don't know. The first copyright on this book is from 1976. 1976. So love it. It's about 50 years old, but it's got some great information in here. So again, I will try to see if I can find this one on Amazon. But if you're thrift store hunting, secondhand bookstore hunting, stuff like that, keep your eye out for this one, Keeping the Harvest. Okay, so I hinted at it in the beginning. It is my homestead Bible. It is the one book above all others that if you get anything from this video and you can only buy one book out of this entire video, this is the book I want you to buy. And no, it's not my book. I have no hand in buying this book, but as you will see, it looks a little worn. It is my most used homestead book. If I have a question, I reach for it. If I need a recipe, I reach for it. If I just want to learn about a new topic, I reach for this book, like not even joking. So it is Country Wisdom and Know-How. This book is written, Lord, it don't even have a author. It says from the editors of Storybooks. So Storybooks is a publishing company. They're the ones who published the Stories Guide to Raising Rabbits. It was not written by them. It's written by a different author, but they have different books like that. So they've got the Stories Guide to Raising Chickens, the Stories Guide to Raising Goats, things like that. I have not been a big fan of their books, and I didn't even realize they wrote this book. This is so different than anything they've ever written. Like, this book here is incredible. It's got over 1,887 different illustrations, pictures, diagrams, things like that. This list of things it covers is extensive. Like, there's no way you're going to be able to read over all those in this video. You have to get this book. I again bought this as a secondhand bookstore. I thought it looked so cool because it was so big. This book is ridiculously massive. So my book, The Homesteader's Guide to Raising Rabbits, is 6 by 9. It's 6 inches wide by 9 inches tall. Look at this book. This is crazy big. It only fits on my bookshelf laying down this way, which I hate books that are like that, but this book is, again, worth it. So let's flip through some random pages and let's show you what's in this book, because it has everything you could need for homesteading and farming. That's why I say if you can only buy one book, this is the one to get. First thing we open it up to, and it's animal care. So this is going to go over all the different animals you might see on your farm or homestead. It's got everything from cats, how to make cat toys, caring for pigs. I think it's even got rabbit stuff in here, birds. I mean, it literally goes over all different kinds of things. It even has journaling on birds, bird watching, recognizing what birds may be on your homestead. And then if we go back to cooking, it's got recipe after recipe in this book. It goes through how to make yogurt, how to deal with milk, what recipes to do, how to deal with eggs, different scone recipes, dealing with fresh fruits. It's got an entire section in here on canning recipes, how to can, water bath versus pressure canning, the differences between the two, common recipes you may use with doing those in produce from your garden. I go to this book for all kinds of recipes, all kinds of jams, jellies, things like that. It's got stuff in here that uses pectin, things that use no pectins, but it's got general cooking, bread making, things like that in here also. Then it's got crafts. It's got an entire craft section. So this is going to cover things like quilt making, making potpourri, how to make your house smell good, making different bouquets to keep your house smelling good, picture frames, decorated soaps, how to make soaps, what flowers and herbs you can press, making candy. If you need a gift, a homemade gift, this book has a section on making gifts on your homestead to give to other people. So on gardening, it's got an entire section on gardening, of course, how to care for tomatoes, how to do different styles of gardening, things that I have never even heard of before, like platforming, topless tables, fence me in. Then it's got like hanging tomatoes, what to do with suckers, topping tomatoes, different care and maintenance, fertilizing your plants, harvesting your plants, what to do when you harvest, how to save the seeds when you harvest, planting, when you should plant, how long things take to plant. I mean, and it's got sections like that for all the plants. It is incredible. Different gardening methods, different supplies you need. It's basics, it's advanced, it's old school methods, it's new school methods. And it's got a section on health and well-being. So this is going to cover different herbs and stuff that can make you healthier, different tonics you can use, different tinctures you can make, how to make teas from your herbs, what herbs will treat this, what herbs will treat that. Things like that is going to be found in this section. Now are you seeing why if you can only get one, you should get this book? Because it has everything in it. And then it's got a home section, and this is gonna go over constructing outbuildings, fences, orchards, building sheds, how to actually do projects on the homestead, what projects you should do, diagrams and building plans and stuff for building them. Let's see what this one is. This whole page right here is on braiding rugs. It tells you what fabrics you can use in rug braiding and what fabrics not to use, what to avoid, how to do it, things like that. I have never tried to braid rugs, but if you are looking for a unique way to do your flooring in your house, to have a rug that is reused from material, maybe old shirts and things like that so that they don't go to waste, old towels, bath towels, braid in a rug for your bathroom out of old bath towels so they don't go to waste, that would be awesome. So again, highly recommend y'all. Now, I don't know how much this book is because like I said, I got it at a secondhand store. I paid $9.95 for it. I don't know how much it actually is. I'm going to find it online and link it down below. I expect it not to necessarily be a cheap book. It's going to be more of an investment. But I, now having this book and everything I have learned from it, I will never not have a copy of this book. I just always want one of these on my bookshelves. If this one gets even more old, worn out, my pages start falling out, I will buy a new one, regardless of how much it costs and whether I can buy it secondhand or not, because I get so much value from this one book that it is absolutely mind-blowing. And when you cannot get to a internet resource, when you cannot get to a library, when you need information right then and there, this book has it. Recommend it, 10 out of 10. Go buy it. I'll link it down below. So those are my recommendations, my book recommendations. As an author, I can attest to what Jess has been saying about the AI books going on the market. It's gotten a little crazy. However, as an author, I have a little bit of an insight to this because I do publish my books on Amazon and I publish through Amazon. So I can see on the back end what's going on. Amazon now requires us to hit a checkbox that says whether our book was made with AI content or made solely from AI content. Nobody knows what Amazon's going to do with this information, but in the future, I'm expecting to be able to see something on Amazon that says this book was generated using AI or something like that. Currently, Amazon is cracking down on books that are generated with AI if they do not declare to Amazon that the book was generated with AI. So that's going to be the thing is if you tell Amazon you're using AI, they're allowing it, but we don't know what they're going to do with that information. And then Amazon has restricted book publishing to 3 books a day, which sounds like a lot to somebody who spent a year writing a book. But these AI generated books, they can write in an hour and have it published. So Amazon had to restrict how many books a day could be published to 3 because people were posting so many books in 1 hour and selling them because they're generating them with AI content. So it is a real thing. It is a very real thing. It is very scary in the author world right now. A lot of people are just going into ChatGPT or other AI sites and typing in, write a book about this topic, and then they're just trusting what AI says. Now, if you are confused on AI, what it does and all that, so the AI algorithm pulls from all the resources on the internet, all the resources they were fed in. So in the book writing world, author writing stuff, they took some of the best writers and kind of had those books scanned through AI, and AI can now copy that writer's voice, can copy different styles that they use, things like that, to write books in the future. They also take ideas from those books to help influence stories in the future. Now, where this goes wrong in the homesteading, gardening, herbalist, foraging type realm is AI pulls from the internet. But anybody can post anything on the internet. That does not mean it's true. But AI does not know that. It does not have the human intelligence to look at something and be like, something's not right here. That person doesn't have any knowledge in this. They've never posted anything about any of this before. And all of a sudden they're claiming to be an expert. Maybe we should be a little fishy about it. AI doesn't see that. AI says, this is what's on the internet. This is what I'm taking and pulling facts from. This is on the internet. I'm pulling facts from it. And it doesn't fact check those facts. And then it produces a book for you. So if somebody's posting wrong things on the internet, and I see it all the time, especially with feeding rabbits, some of the information out there is so incredibly wrong. And then AI pulls from all that, they're going to give you a feeding rabbits book that has a lot of wrong information in it, and it can cost those rabbits their lives. AI doesn't care. It's a computer. There's no human consciousness in that. So Jess is absolutely correct. You have got to take and look at your authors more than ever before. Make sure you're buying from reliable resources, from people who actually use that knowledge and know that it's usable knowledge, that it's actually good knowledge worth having. So that's all I have for you today, friends. Until next time, bye.
Bye.
We will see you later.
Later.
Did you come join my video?
Yeah.